gorgeous, says Darian. Yes. Okay, I think I'm going to get us started, and then maybe we'll have some other people who join us. I'm sure, Mark, I'm sure. So let me introduce myself. I'm going to be your lone panelist today. My name is Mackenzie Garrity, and I am the CCO, or Chief Commercial Officer of Articheck, which means that I run the marketing and sales teams here at Articheck. And SEO is something that I've been doing for the entirety of my career. It's something that is near and dear to my heart because I love good content and making sure that good content is available out here. So ArtEvolve is a great example of this. This is my initiative, and I'm very much excited that we're going on 1 year of this event being around. Next month is our 1-year anniversary for ArtEvolve, and we're still going strong. So that's pretty exciting. So today I'm going to be doing our masterclass on SEO for art organizations. So all the examples we're going to use are going to be art organization based. And then of course, I work in an art adjacent organization, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions at the end. And if you have anything more specific, then we can always follow up later. Okay, so let's get started here. Please let me know if at any point you can't hear me too well. I am on a internet connection that earlier today was slightly faulty, so we should be okay, but just let me know. Okay. So what we're going to go over today are these different concepts in the SEO masterclass. We're going to talk about what is SEO. I know all of us are coming in kind of with different levels of expertise in this subject, but I want to make sure that we're all starting with the same foundational understanding of what we're talking about, because the term SEO can have a lot of different meanings in different contexts, and so we're going to make sure we're talking all about the same thing. Then we're going to go over, why do we need SEO? Why is it something important that you should make sure that your organization is doing? We're going to talk about how search engines work. So something that's really important to me whenever I go over any concept or whenever I'm learning about something new is that I like to know, what's happening behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz, what's going on behind the curtain. So I want to be able to tell you, what is the actual functionality of a search engine that leads to the practices that we have in SEO. We're going to talk about understanding how users search, and then how to collaborate effectively with search engines, and then of course a set of recommendations that you can act on immediately after this webinar if you so choose. As one of our important tenets of the ArtEvolve mission is to make sure that every event you come out with something actionable for your institution or your organization. So just a reminder, if you're going to be popping something into the comments, please make sure you change your setting in the to section from all panelists. If you just click on that, you can change it to all panelists and attendees so everyone else can see your message as well. If you have any questions or comments as we go, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll try to get to them as we go. If it's something that I'll address later, I'll let you know, or you can also put something in the Q&A section if you'd like me to answer it at the end, okay? So I'm open to collaboration, and this event today, because it's a masterclass, is definitely going to be a collaborative effort. So I will actually ask for your participation at a couple points, and I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Okay, so let's get rolling here. First, what is SEO? This term has been around a lot, and I think depending on the background that you come from, you may have heard of it and not know what it means. You may, generally know what the word actually, or what the acronym stands for, but not actually what the definition is entirely. Okay, so let's go over a little bit. SEO is just an acronym for search engine optimization. And search engine optimization is a marketing discipline that is focused on growing visibility in organic search engine results. So it has nothing to do with advertising. It has nothing to do with paying Google to put you higher up on the list, right? Everything around search engine optimization, or SEO, is about growing your visibility in organic search engine results. And SEO encompasses both technical and creative elements that are required to grow visibility. And we'll talk about both technical and creative elements today and how you can implement them to start your SEO work at your institution or improve upon it. So SEO is about growing visibility in the organic search engine rankings. So what that means is that when someone searches for something in Google or in Bing or in Yahoo, right, any of the major search engines, if they search for something there and it's something that's related to your institution, you'd like to ideally come up on the results list that that search engine provides. So growing visibility means improving your search result ranking, meaning that you come up higher in the list, right? Ideally, you want to be first. Every time someone searches something related to your institution, the products that you offer, the exhibitions that you do, you'd like to come up first, right? So important part of SEO is about improving your ranking, just means the order in which you appear when someone types in a search query related to your institution. Growing visibility is also about driving more traffic to your website or your other online properties, which are things like, your social media sites or maybe auxiliary websites that are specifically for certain events or certain services that you offer. And growing visibility is also about increasing the awareness of your organization overall. So if someone searches generically for, museums in the United States, you'd like to come up higher on that list if you are a museum in the United States. So why do we need SEO? Now, I think we all agree that coming up sooner in the search results is better. But why? Why is that better? Well, search engines are like internet highways. The majority of web traffic is driven by the major commercial search engines. Now, it's not just driven by someone going to google.com and then typing in something into, our traditional Google search bar. It also is because a lot of the browsers these days are attached directly to a search engine. Chrome browser, if you use it, is the Google browser. And that bar up there is actually attached to the Google search engine. Bing and Microsoft have something similar, and so does Yahoo. So you want to make sure that, you're very much focused on coming up on those major commercial search engines. Additionally, when people do things like use Siri on their phone, that also is a search engine, and that is a major commercial search engine. Search engines are the primary method of purposeful navigation for most internet users. Now, what this means, purposeful navigation, there is also non-purposeful navigation, and non-purposeful navigation is where, I take my cell phone and I'm scrolling through my Instagram account. That's non-purposeful. You're not looking for anything in particular. Okay, purposeful navigation is where you're looking for something. And search engines are the primary way that internet users can look and find something. Search engines are unique in that they provide targeted traffic, which is that people are looking for what you offer, and you can provide it to them by coming up sooner in the search rankings. So how do search engines work exactly? Okay, so understanding search engines is obviously key to being able to optimize how your company appears in your search rankings. So the first thing that we need to consider is something called crawling. Has anyone heard of this term before? Know what it refers to? Have any inkling? Guesses, silly or otherwise, are accepted. What does crawling refer to in the context of search engines? No idea. Perfectly valid answer. Anyone else have an idea? Maybe you've heard the term before and you're not sure what it means. Tracking. Yep, you're on the right track. Haha, Molly. Robots. Yes, Cassie, robots. Crawl through your site. Yeah, so crawling refers to a crawler. Okay, a crawler is a program that visits websites all around the web, all around the internet, reads their pages and any other available information that the website provides to the crawler in order to create entries for a search engine index. Okay, so these programs are known as spiders or bots. I'm going to call them bots going forwards. But we often kind of imagine them as those kind of robotic spiders that crawl around your website and look at all of the information and absorb all of it. So when we're thinking about a crawler or a bot, what they're doing is looking through everything that's available on your website that they can access, okay? And then it summarizes all of that information into an entry for the search engine index. So it works very similarly to a traditional library catalog, right? Every single book in the library has a catalog entry. And if the librarian, AKA the search engine, wants to go find something, they go and they search through the catalog. Same thing for a search engine index. So it's important to know this because we need to be aware that these bots are going to be coming to our websites and they're going to be looking for information in a very specific way. And we'll talk about this as we go forward, how to provide them the right type of information. We also have indexing, okay? So indexing refers to the search engine index. Once the information has been collected by the crawler, it's then organized and stored for later use by the search engine. So we want to make sure that not only does the crawler collect all the info, but then once it's been collected, it's then stored for later use. Okay, so those are the two primary actions that a search engine does before someone searches for something. Okay, so they crawl and they index, and then afterwards they return search results. Okay. Now, if your website is not crawled and is not indexed, it will not show up in the search results. So obviously we want to make sure that happens. Okay, so how do search engines work? Search engines are answer machines. So once the crawling and the indexing has been completed, search engines provide answers to questions that are called search queries. Now, we call them questions, right? But no longer do you always type a question mark at the end of something that you put into a search engine. So if you're looking for, works by Monet, then you might just type in works by Monet. You're not going to say, can you please show me works by Monet, right? We have sort of developed a shorthand, even as consumers, to be able to speak with a search engine without always having to ask in a full sentence question like you might with a person. So search engines are answer machines. They provide answers to search queries. The answers that search engines provide are organized by both relevancy and popularity. Okay, so we're going to talk about relevance and popularity. This is how they organize their answers that are given back to every search query. So relevance and popularity of pages are determined by the search engine's algorithm. So I just want to quickly identify what an algorithm is before we go any further. An algorithm is just a rules-based procedure for making calculations or solving problems. Okay, so I'll talk mostly about Google because that is the largest search engine. If we're talking about Google as a search engine, then the way that Google works is that it has an enormous procedure in the back end that's rules-based that makes calculations for what answer it's going to return for every question, right? So for example, let's say it's crawled 100 different pages that have works of Monet on them. You type in works of Monet, and then it's going to return those pages in a specific order based on its algorithm, based on the rules that it has decided. Okay, not it has decided, the person designed the algorithm, right? People design the algorithms, but the rules that are provided for the algorithm are then applied to those 100 pages, and they are spit out in a specific order to the inquiry for works for Monet. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about relevance and popularity, what they mean. And so therefore, how the search engine ranks your answer, ranks your page. Okay? When someone asks a question, how do you get to the top? Well, you have to be able to do really well at these two things. You have to have a high relevance score or high relevance ranking. And relevance is just, is this the answer to the searcher's question? So someone puts in a search query or a question into the search bar here. The results that pop out below, are these the answer to the searcher's question? Okay. And there's a number of, mathematical ways that the search engine can decide whether or not each of those pages is the correct answer to the question. It depends on the content of those pages. It depends on how many people in the past have clicked on that page. Therefore, the search engine knows more likely to be the answer to that particular question. We also have popularity. Your popularity score, your popularity ranking is another thing that search engines use to in its algorithm to determine the answer order. And popularity is how many visitors does the page and the website overall have, and how long do the visitors spend on the website. Now, there are a number of other factors that go into popularity, but these are two of the most important ones. How many visitors does the page and the website overall have, and how long do the visitors spend on the website? There's going to be a big difference in popularity if you have a website where on average visitors spend 10 seconds compared to a website where visitors on average spend 20 minutes. It's going to be a big popularity difference. And therefore, the algorithm is going to put you higher in the search results ranking, depending on how high it ranks your popularity. So let's talk a little bit about these search queries, the questions that the users ask, okay? These people who are typing in these search queries, they are your audience. They might be your customers, they might be your partners or potential partners, they might be clients, they might be potential clients, they might be visitors to your institution. They are, anybody who is within your target audience are going to be putting search queries into Google, trying to find you, right? You are the answer to their question. So let's look at a little bit about what types of search queries do we have? What types of questions do people ask the search engine in order to get an answer? So the methodology for search queries is do, know, go. It's really easy to remember. Do, know, go. And this is how it works. Do are transactional queries. Know are informational queries. And go are navigational queries. So remember, queries just means question. Okay, so do is a transactional question, a know is an informational question, and a go is a navigational question. So let's look at that in a little bit more detail. Do search queries, which are transactional, means that I, the searcher, want to do something. I want to purchase something. I want to watch something. I want to read something. There's something that I want to do, and so I'm going to ask the search engine for help. The know search queries are informational, and it's about I need to know something. So I need to know the name of something. I need to know the date of something. I need to know who someone's patron is. I need to know where something is going to occur. Know is informational. I need to know something as the searcher. And then we have go search queries, and go search queries are navigational. They're navigational in the context of the internet, not like you drive down the road. Okay. So navigational queries are, I want to find a digital location. I'm looking for an organization's website or a specific LinkedIn profile. Okay. So remember, if you're looking for the location of a museum, that is an informational query because it doesn't have a digital location. If you're looking for the museum's website, that is a go query because you're finding a digital location. So let's give this a try. Oh, my audio is breaking up a bit. Emma, can you hear me okay? Just testing with my colleague here who's the A+. Okay. All right, let me know that happens again. You can check. All right, so let's do an exercise together. Let's test our do, know, go search queries. So let's say you're going to be organizing a special exhibition called BLM, Social Justice Through Art. It opens June 2021, and it runs through the end of the year. You have a page on your website dedicated to the exhibition, and the page includes further information and the ability to reserve tickets in advance. So has information up here in the corner. This is the answer, right? This page with these special exhibition details, what it's called, when it runs, that is the answer to the search query. Now we have to go backwards and think about what might the search queries be. So I'm gonna try this annotation function for the first time. So let's see how this goes, huh? Okay, so we're gonna try some do queries first. Do, remember, is I want to do something. So if you're thinking about someone who would be interested in attending this exhibition, and they go to Google and they're about to type something in, what might they type? That would be a do query, meaning that they'd like to do something. They'd like to purchase, they'd like to watch, they'd like to read. What type of queries could this individual type in to Google that would allow them to find your answer, which is the page about your special exhibition? We're going to look at do queries. Yep, visit social justice art exhibition. Tickets for BLM. Yeah, tickets for BLM is a good one. And then we have, let's see, BLM exhibition tickets. Yeah, that's a great one too. BLM exhibitions, right? So let's say they haven't heard of you, but they'd like to go to a BLM exhibition, right? They're looking for a BLM exhibition. Okay, so these are do queries, right? It's people who are looking to do something. So they're looking to go to an exhibition. They're looking to buy tickets for an exhibition. Okay, so exhibitions in June. Good, exhibitions in June would be a great one, but exhibitions in June would actually be a no query. I would like to know something. I would like to know which exhibitions are happening in June. A great one to look for is also exhibitions in June near me. This is a very common search. A term plus near me, right? Because everyone wants to be able to attend something close to them, especially in these days. We have BLM exhibition visits. So I'm going to try to pull as many as I can. There's a number of them that have come through. Right, so when we think about typing these in, right, we want to think particularly in the context of not just what the individual words are, but what would the phrase be that someone puts into Google when they are searching for you or something similar to you. Collectors, curators, works, that'd be a do request. So if someone says, if someone's typing in something saying, you know, like BLM works of art for purchase, they are looking to do something. Yes, they'd like to buy. If they're looking for, if they just type in BLM works of art, they're looking to know something. They're looking for more information about that. So sometimes someone will type in a no request before they type in a do, right? So let's say, for example, someone types in exhibitions in June near me. They find this website, they find the BLM Social Justice Through Art page. They see it, they don't bookmark it, they totally forget. 3 weeks later, they might type in BLM exhibition tickets because they are now like, oh yeah, I wanted to go to that exhibition. I didn't get tickets yet. I'm gonna go to Google. I can't remember the website, right? I'm gonna go to Google, go type in this request, and then I will get my answer, which is this. Now, here's something interesting. What does BLM stand for? Black Lives Matter, right, Julia? So here's the thing. Not everyone who searches for your exhibition is going to search with the word with the acronym BLM. They might search with the term Black Lives Matter. So someone might come in here and say Lives Matter exhibition details. So you want to make sure that you don't only say BLM on your page, right? You also want to make sure that the page that you put out there also has Black Lives Matter written into it. And we'll talk about this as we go forward. Are there any go terms that you can think of? So go is navigational. It's someone looking for a digital location. So if someone is looking for this page, what might they type in? They're looking specifically for the page. What can I type into Google? Paulina, that's a good one. Where can I find BLM exhibitions? Means would probably be a no, because they're looking for information about the BLM exhibition. But if someone is looking for the digital location, they're looking for this page, what might they type in to find this specific page on the internet? Exhibitions BLM Paris, that would be a no. They're looking for more information about BLM exhibitions happening in Paris. What about something looking for this specific page? Let's say they heard about the exhibition from a friend of theirs, but they don't know what the exhibition is called, but they're looking for the web page. What could they type in? Pretending we're this person. Yeah, BLM exhibition website. Exactly. Information about BLM related events. Yeah, that would be a no query, but yes, definitely. Exhibition sponsors website. Yeah, so if we're looking at Go queries, we could say it would be the BLM exhibition website. Maybe we could, if we have a couple details in our mind, if we're thinking about, being this this audience member and what they might be looking for. Maybe they remember, Black Lives Matter June exhibition website or page. Right? They can look for all these different things. Good. Yeah, they could be looking. They could look for the Instagram too. They could look for another property that's not this page. Yeah, definitely. Good. Great input. Thanks, everybody. So this just gives you an idea of, how many different directions someone could come from to find your page. So there are many different questions that your page could be the answer to. And you want to make sure that you identify what these do, know, and go search queries are while you're actually creating the page itself, so that the page is better optimized to be ranked highly in the search engine and to be found by the people who you want to find it. Okay, so let's move on. I'm trying to, how do I remove it now? Make it go away. Hold on a second. Clear. Haha. Okay, magic. All right, so all of what we were just doing there with our exercise, we were talking about the people who are searching, right? And all searchers are going to be people. But the search engine itself, it's a machine, okay? And that can be good and bad. So we need to think about working with search engines. Search engines are machines, they are not people. So for some reason it didn't load, but I will verbally let you know what that says. Search engines follow a logical process based on their algorithm. So their algorithm remembers their rules-based procedure. So you can reasonably predict what actions will improve your search ranking, okay? And in most cases, search engines have public information available to you that gives you recommendations for how to improve your search ranking. Now, not everything is public, because is how they make their money. It is their gold. It's their intellectual property. But they will tell you, they will give you general recommendations about how they rank the different pages and what is included in those different rankings. So that's how I'm able to tell you that relevance and popularity are two of the most important elements of how they rank you using the algorithm, is because that is public information. So let's talk about the limitations of search engines. Search engines have a number of limitations because search engines are machines, not people. So what happens? Search engines can't easily understand a variety of things. When a crawler or a bot comes onto your website, they have a hard time understanding online forms, particularly if the online form is blocking, it's put in front of valuable content, right? So let's say you ask people to sign up with an email before they're able to access or pay. That's okay. Not something that you can decide to do for marketing purposes, but the crawler or the bot can't get past that online form. So they're not going to be able to see anything on the other side. Search engines also can't easily understand duplicate pages. They tend to see many duplicate pages as spam. Search engines also can't easily understand poorly organized websites, aka poor link structures. So this means where different pages on your website are not well connected to each other, and we'll talk about this. I'll show you visually speaking what that looks like when it's poor and then optimally structured. Search engines also have a hard time understanding badly written content. Now, when I say badly written, I don't mean that it necessarily reads badly, right? It could be a very, poetic piece of writing, but if it's not written with SEO in mind, then the search engine may not be able to understand what you're talking about, okay? Search engines also can't easily understand non-text content. Bots cannot see pictures. They cannot see graphics. They cannot see videos. They cannot see logos. They can't see them, right? They don't have eyes. All it's doing is taking the text content that you have available and absorbing that and putting it into the search engine index. So if you have a lot of non-text content on your website and you don't, sort of put accommodations in place for the crawler to be able to understand, it won't be able to know what any of those pictures or videos or graphics are, okay? Search engines also can't easily understand uncommon terms. This is something that's really important in the art world because we have a lot of uncommon terms. Now, this can apply to a couple different places, right? It could mean words that are often used exchangeably for one another. So if you're thinking about, so Julia, yes, I'm going to put everything will be accessible in the recording email tomorrow. Good question. Uncommon terms in the context of the art world can be a couple things. That's okay, no problem. The first is if you're actually thinking about words that are interchangeable. So things like conservation and restoration. Now, I know that they have their own specific applications if you are a conservator, but for people coming from, slightly outside the industry, or those who may become your clients if you're a conservator but are not well versed in the art world, like private collectors, they may use a term that's not the actual correct industry term, right? Just like when you're going to the doctor and you're explaining an issue that you have, you're not using the scientific terminology for what's going on with your own body. Uncommon terms also can apply to terms where your organization might use a specific name for a process, but the rest of the industry uses another name. Or maybe you have a specific name for a process because, it's a service offering of yours, but in actuality, it's called a couple of different things in the market. So we want to make sure that we really address this uncommon terms issue, especially because those searching, not only the search engine, but the searchers as well may be using a different term from you. So let's talk about link structures. Remember, link structures is how your website is organized. So each of these circles is a web page on your website. This top one is the home page. These are three of your main pages, and then everything under here is smaller and smaller. Now this organization, it looks very clean, right? It looks very orderly. In fact, it's not a good link structure, and I'll show you why. It's not a good link structure because these three main pages are not connected to each other. They're only connected back to the home page. So what happens when someone is on this page over here and then needs to go over to this page? They have to go up to the home page and then back over to the page on the right. That is extra effort on the part of the searcher, and they are less likely to do that, right? The longer and more complicated it is from someone to get from A to B in your website, the less likely they are to do it. And the lower your search ranking goes because of it, because they may not find what they're looking for, or they may not spend enough time on your website. You can see here as well, if someone goes further down the rabbit hole and gets to one of these pages down here, or even all the way at the bottom row, how do they get back to the home page? Well, they have to go 1, 2, 3 steps. You don't want that. You want to make sure that every page is connected back to the home page, so it's easy for someone to get back to the primary navigational hub. It's an optimal link structure. It looks more like this. It's more complicated. You see that everything has arrows that connects to each other. The homepage connects to everything. All of these categories connect to each other. All of these posts down below connect to each other, and even may connect to more than one. Okay. In addition, all of the posts connect back up to the homepage. So everything is connected. It makes it very easy for the user to interact with your website. It also makes it easy for the crawler. Here, the inability to get from these two pages, right, means that the crawler, what might happen is that the little bot comes to your website, goes to your homepage, la-di-da-di-da, comes down to your A column. It goes down over here. It then finishes down here, and then, finishes down here, and it's ready to search another part of your site, index more of your information. Make sure that the search engine knows everything about your website, but oops, it can't get anywhere. There's nowhere for it to go except back. And it already crawled that page. It already finished. And so then it looks for another place to go. There's nowhere for it to go. And so at some point, it's just going to leave the website. It's not going to try to find all of these little hidden pages, which means that not everything on your website gets indexed. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about non-text content, pictures, videos, graphics. When you have an image on your website, we, as art professionals, know what's going on in this picture, but the crawler doesn't. So what do you have to do? You have to tell the crawler what's happening in this picture. So does anyone want to give me some ideas of what's going on in this image? If we had to describe this picture for someone who can't see it. So your colleague is standing on the other side of the room with their back turned, and you have to describe this image to them. What would you say? Renaissance art restoration. Yeah, good, Alex. That's a good start. But what type of Renaissance art? Is it a sculpture? Italian fresco. Yeah. Painting restoration, art restoration. Ari, that's really good. Exactly. Sometimes people are going to use different terms to explain the same activity. Conservator retouches wall painting. Yeah, wall painting, right? Might be another way that someone explains a fresco. Maybe they don't say the word fresco. So we want to make sure that we have, all of these different descriptors in something that actually describes the picture itself, and then also in other parts of the page, right? We want to make sure those words in other parts of the page. Woman with paintbrush touching up a fresco in blues and reds. Yes, Sue. That's very descriptive. I like that. Restoration techniques. Yeah, techniques. Right? So there's a lot of different ways that you could describe this painting, but we can see that even between us, we're all using different terminology and different vocabulary to explain the same activity that's going on. So if we use all of those different terms just between us in this one, conversation that we're having, it's very, very easy to imagine that all the searchers are going to do the same thing. So we want to make sure that when we are actually putting, a description of this image into our website, that we put enough information that any of those people using those terms can find it. Okay, so here are the recommendations, and then I'll go into questions if you have them. The recommendations for things that you can do, the SEO starter pack for art organizations, things that you can do today to start improving your SEO ranking. The first is to make a list of do, no, go keywords that your audience might type into the search box, which we know at this now are called search queries. So you want to make a big list of all the do, no, go keywords. A good way to do this is to look at each page on your website and think about the do, no, go keywords for each individual page, okay? Also, each new important page you're adding to your website, like a new product offering or a new exhibition that's going to be happening or a new artist that you're going to be having in residence. Whenever you're adding a new important page to your website, you're going to want to make a list of the do, no, go keywords that our audience might type into the search box. You're then going to make sure to consider synonyms and alternative phrasing your audience may use to search, right? So once you kind of come up with a list that easily comes to mind for you, you want to consider, okay, have I said wall painting and fresco and mural, right? All of those alternatives. You then want to incorporate your entire list of keywords you've developed into the text of your website. Now, there is something in the world of SEO that is called keyword stuffing, and I hate it. And I'll explain it to you what it is. It's when, you take the word fresco and you make sure it's on the one page 50 times just to hope that the search engine, likes your page better because you wrote the word fresco 50 times. The search engine knows that you just stuffed your page with the word fresco 50 times. Please don't do this. Okay? The best way to incorporate all these keywords into your page is to make sure that you're writing with the view of providing valuable information for the person reading, which means that you're going to use all the alternative phrases that you've come up with. You're going to put in all of your do no go keywords into your text in some way, but you're going to do it in a way that also, if a person was reading it, it's going to be valuable to them. The other thing too about keyword stuffing is that it's very, it's annoying for the person reading it. If a searcher comes to your page and the word fresco is just peppered around 50 times just for the purpose of having it there so often, it becomes, less valuable content for the person who's actually using it, and they may spend less time on the page. Another very important thing, like we just saw with that image, is to label your photos and your videos with text, including your keywords. Okay, you want to make sure that every image somehow has a label. So there's a number of ways you can do this. The image itself has a name, so you can give it an appropriate name with keywords in it. You can also put text just below it. You can also make sure the text that is near the image that explains what the image is includes keywords, includes the appropriate language that the searcher is going to use to find you, right? That's our goal. Make sure that the web page that we're creating has all of the words that someone's going to use to look for you. Okay. The next thing we want to do is improve our popularity ranking, because again, we have our relevance ranking and a popularity ranking that are important to the search engine algorithm. So how do we improve our popularity ranking? Well, we want to give our audience a reason to visit our website more often. You can create a plan to periodically post new content. Now, I say periodically because it depends on the size of your institution. If you're a small organization with, not many team members, you may not be able to put something new up every week. You may be able to put something new up every month. That's okay. Make a realistic plan for when you can put something new on your website and organize it in a way that makes it easy for you. Yes, crawlers do pick up metadata on JPEGs. Good question, Simon. Most crawlers do, as long as your image is accessible to them, right? So it's not some sort of esoteric or different format. If you have like a raw file, for example, it's not going to be able to pick those up. It most easily reads JPEGs and PNGs. So if you're going to post new content on your website, some of the easiest ways to organize it are in a news section, where you can just post some of the latest news about your organization, what you're working on, new partnerships that you have, clients that you're working with. You can have a blog where you post new content. You can do webinars, our ArtEvolve series, right? It's a good example of an SEO initiative. And then you can do case studies. Maybe you work with clients to collaborate with them, and then those get posted not just on your website, but also on theirs or on their social media. You then want to share your new content with your audience via email and social media and any other way that you can. Invite them to also share with others. Help, essentially give the people that are your biggest fans the ability to spread the word about you in a way that's, low risk, right? You're not asking people to share information about your product offerings. You're asking people just to share information about something valuable that you're providing for free. You then want to create reasons for your audience to stay on your website longer. Add video content, improve your link structure, allow them to navigate more easily, or add opportunities for engagement, meaning, do you have a way for them to sign up to become a part of your newsletter? Do you have maybe a poll on your website periodically? Do you have comments in your blog section? And then you also are going to want to set up Google Analytics for your website. Now, this is something that I think is daunting for a lot of non-marketing professionals. But in fact, Google Analytics is a pretty easy process, okay, to set up. There's a lot of tutorials online. It doesn't take a lot to be able to connect it to your website. And once you have, you'll be able to get a lot of data on how many people are visiting your website and how long they're staying and where they're going, okay? Which pages they visit the most, which pages they visit the least. So Google Analytics is an invaluable tool for your popularity ranking. Then let's take a look at checking your link structure. Okay, so improving your link structure is a part of your popularity ranking. And generally speaking, you want to improve your link structure. It's a really important part of good SEO practice. So how do you check your link structure, whether it's good or bad, or there's problems you need to improve? First is to check your menu and make sure that it includes all the main pages of your website, okay? You're then going to want to make sure that every single page links back to the home page in some way. Now, that's not to say that you need to put a link in the middle of the page going back to the home page. The most common way that you link back to the home page on every page is having a logo in the upper left corner, right? We're all very familiar with this. A logo in the upper left corner that leads you back to the home page if you click on it. But you want to make sure that that's there every time, right? You then want to look for floating pages that aren't connected to anything. And then you're going to want to make sure that important pages are linked in multiple places. So for example, for us at ArtEvolve, we make sure that our needs assessment call booking is linked in multiple places on our website, or the ability to try a free trial of ArtEvolve is linked in multiple places on the website. Okay, that is the SEO Masterclass. I am happy to field questions. I see a couple have already come in. This is really an overview, right? This is to get you started. There's a lot of other information that I could spring on you about creative and technical elements of SEO. SEO is an entire profession. There are people out there who are only SEO professionals, and that is all they do. So it's something that you can go a lot deeper into, but the recommendations that I've given you today are things that you can implement easily, especially if you are not a marketing professional. There are things that you can start to do on your own to get a jump start on improving where you appear in the search results. Okay, so let's see. Julia says, is it important to add the keywords in different languages, or does the search engine make the translation automatically? Good question. You don't need to add the keywords in different languages. I especially recommend that you do not, you try your best not to mix languages on one page, so that, because in that way, if a crawler is coming across, it's having to translate between the languages, and it may sometimes think, oh, well, this word is in English when in fact it's in Spanish. Okay, so it's always good to have either a chunk of one language and a chunk of another, or have a toggle up in the corner that allows people to change your entire website between languages. Otherwise, yes, the search engine is able to make the translation automatically, especially because Google Translate for Google is now so deeply integrated. If you're, I'm located in Italy, okay, my search results, even if I'm searching in English, they're more likely to appear in Italian because of my physical location. That just is the way that it works, okay? But I will also get, English search results and other search results depending on how high they are in the search rankings. Let's see. Close this and open up the questions in front of me. Oh, 1 second. Then my Q&A section disappeared. 1 second. Just finding all of you. Okay. Let's see. We also had a question from Vanessa. Do you put search terms visible to the public, or can you put terms into non-visible elements of your webpage? That's a great question. So for example, some of the search terms that we were thinking about for our exercise were things like BLM exhibition and BLM exhibition tickets. Those terms you can put directly into the text of that website, right? You can use the term BLM exhibition somewhere in your description of the event. And so in that way, you're able to actually incorporate it directly into the text. You don't need to, hide it anywhere. You can also incorporate it into, descriptions of the images and things like that. But the best way to do it is to incorporate it directly into the copy of the website. Thank you, Eve. I appreciate that. Let's see, I'll go to the Q&A section now. If anyone has any other questions, happy to answer them. Pop them into the chat, pop them into the Q&A. Hugo says, what is the frequency of search engines crawling websites? That is a great question. It is the question all SEO specialists would love the answer to. The answer is whenever they feel like it. Sometimes I can have a website that's crawled like 20 times in a day, and then sometimes it can take weeks. So it really depends. There are ways to request crawling from the websites, especially if you have like a new web page that hasn't been indexed yet. But that's something that I would recommend speaking with a marketing person about, just because they'll have a little bit of better idea how to do that for you. Then Hugo says, do question, do search engines, in most cases they do. And so metadata of images is helpful. So making sure that you name the image correctly, that you put the description there. But it's also helpful to make sure that, you know, below an image, you have a description of what it is. In the explanation next to an image, you include some inclusion of the image itself. Corenza says, language translation is always mechanical and waiting the system to check specific terms. That's a great question. So this is where we, I think, get into the uncommon terms category, right? Is in the sense that the crawlers don't always know what to do if they've translated a website, you know, into another language, and then the term doesn't match up with what's actually used in that other language. So if you have a large enough audience in a second language to your primary working language, it's worth it to translate your website. But if it's too much, you know, work for you, then people do have the ability to use Google Translate, right? But the way that, you know, the language translation works in the context of SEO is also something that's a little bit hidden by Google, because it is a part of the value of their algorithm. So there's only so much that we can find out about that information. Oh, okay, sorry, I went jerky. On which part? The discussion about the metadata? Okay, so sorry, let me go back a minute. So the metadata of images for indexing. The question was, do search engines look at metadata of images for indexing? So metadata of images is when you save an image to your computer, right? You upload it into a website, then it asks you for the name of the image and for the metadata. And the metadata is like a little description of it. That's a great place to put keywords, because yes, search engines do index that data, but it's very important to also put a description of images in different locations if it's relevant to people looking for your website, or to put important keywords or descriptions related to the image in the actual text. Okay, so for example, we had that picture of the conservator working with the fresco. You may say in the paragraph next to it, you know, you can see my colleague Clarissa here is working with, you know, a 16th century fresco. And, you know, this is something where we have a lot of expertise. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions. Any last minute ones come up? Sure, happy to help. I'm glad that it was valuable for all of you. And feel free to reach out. If you have any follow-up things that come to mind, you're also welcome to add me on LinkedIn. I love to chat with art industry professionals about anything. You can find me Mackenzie Garrity. Sure. Have a good rest of your day, everybody. Thank you all.